Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of ReTFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Billy Bob Space Trucker, and is a part of a series. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Cast leader Cleroy was shifting through reports when juvenile Gresh clicked his forelimbs upon the entrance surface to ask permission to enter. Cleroy stomped his hind limbs to indicate permission. The juvenile quickly stepped in with the data slate in his hand, which he handed to Cleroy.
Cast leader, there is a situation. I think our surveillance equipment on Black Market Station 32 has been compromised.
Cleroy nodded as this was said and set the report down before reading it. Yes, the station is Vakesh assaulted. Has traffic resumed so that we could move in and retrieve the recordings? Were they gone?
No, Cast leader, it appears to be functioning, but I suspect that they've been broadcasting a clever ruse to make us worried without need, an attempt to get inside our antennae, as it were.
Cast leader Cleroy laid his mandibles inch higher than usual to indicate curiosity. What makes you say this?
It is very elaborate recording, no doubt, but it is simply too absurd for any true grey shells to believe.
Yes, but what is on that will make you say this?
Perhaps it is best that you watch it yourself, Cast leader.
Cleroy picked up the data slate and skittered around the desk. With Gresh in the lead, they skittered down to the main surveillance monitoring room, where most of the juveniles were clustered around a console. Cleroy clicked his forelimbs together, and they quickly dispersed back to their own consoles. The Vakesh assault is nothing we haven't seen before, he chided the juveniles, who were quietly talking amongst themselves instead of listening to him, which was unusual. He leaned in, settling in on his hind limbs before the console. Gresh quickly found the monitor he wanted Cleroy to watch.
I've pieced together what the others think happened, but you'll see they're wrong when you watch it.
Cleroy saw that barbaric ship that he had spoken to B-Robbo about, and noticed the compact, ugly creature that emerged. Then his mandibles ticked in anger as he noticed the diplomat of their ancestral enemies emerge as well. Then this was the one B-Robbo wanted. He saw it approach a squad of Vakesh and settle back in. Most likely they killed that ugly thing then, and B-Robbo had nothing to worry about. Then his four eyes widened as he watched that single creature knock down the Vakesh squad. This wasn't possible. The other juveniles went quiet as Cleroy watched the entirety of the spy video without stopping. He even forgot to let his hydration mucus flow from his fluid sacs, so his shell wouldn't dry and crack until the very end. He quickly collected himself, remembering to release more mucus, and he skittered out of the room, ignoring the juveniles' questions. He didn't even remember to take the data slate, which outlined how old the video feed was. Cleroy rushed into his office, locking the entrance behind him before knocking the data slates off his desk. He keyed into the console with haste and inputted the species code of the ugly little thing that B-Robbo had been hunting. His eyes began to scan over the documents that were only available to Galactic Secret Service. Majority of species seems to be suitable for integration under unified galactic government. Possible warlike subspecies have shown aptitude for unusual naval warfare. Note, original contact plan of species requesting help from Trzek's invasion backfired. Trzek's now extinct after prolonged naval bombardments of home systems through unconventional means. Species spared retribution genocide after agents discovered clear lack of knowledge of Texas customs and logistics. Species presumed threat to be far greater than true. Lack of intelligence gathering on part of the Secret Service regarding species' reaction to Texas invasion is the greatest factor in possible Texas extinction. After being alerted to greater galactic presence, species has been mostly peaceful. Subspecies continues border skirmishes. To be expected as codes of uniformity begin to eliminate extreme populations. Naval focus indicates likelihood of poor ground combat ability. Species only has access to very low-tech energy weapons. Ships of barbaric design, aside from single unknown innovation known as skip drives. That has been flagged by Central Intelligence as forbidden tech. Overall threat level, low. Cleroy blinked as he looked at the last line. Overall threat level, low. Overall threat level, low. His limbs clicked on the console hastily. Central Intelligence has theorized no observation of species in ground combat is required, considering naval focus. No close combat studies of species have been conducted. Cleroy's mucus turned pale green as he realized the grave mistake they've made. Quickly, he activated his communicator and tapped it into the feed with B-Bob's cast. "This is Cast Leader Cleroy. Inform your Cast Leader that we found him, and I have every intention of assisting his cast in tracking and killing this target." The juvenile on the line clicked in confusion.
Who do you refer to, Cast Leader?
Cleroy stared at the information in front of him. "We must stop Billy Bob, Space Trucker." Billy Bob had his arms crossed as he looked down at the Space Goblin Doctor, who was glaring up at him. After curb-stomping that fecking space clown, he'd freed the prisoners and tried to help get things on the station back to normal. After gluing his wound shut, of course. "Look, I'm still maintain that there's nothing wrong with using some glue to close up a wound."
It's madness. I don't care if everyone else is impressed with how well it works. You risk toxic contamination and worse. You must drink biogel.
Billy Bob eyed the purple space cough syrup that had been brought in a big picture. "I don't wanna."
Are you an infant? It'll make you better.
They stopped as the door to the medical room opened and Emily limped in.
"Hello, Billy Bob. Hello, Dr. Goldsmith. How's the patient, Doctor?"
"His name is Dr. Goldsmith," Billy Bob said incredulously. The other two looked back at him.
"Yes. Is there something wrong?"
Billy Bob looked from Goldsmith to Emily and back. All sorts of thoughts flooded through his mind about the unlikely names some aliens had and wondered if his translator was broken, or perhaps just fucking with him. Should he try to explain No, he shouldn't. So he just shook his head. No, never mind, nothing." Dr. Goldsmith huffed out.
"I was trying to explain to this stubborn child that he needs to drink the biogel. I don't care if he can't ingest much liquid or not. The more he can manage to drink, the quicker he'll heal."
Emily looked over at Billy Bob.
"Billy Bob, drink the biogel, but drink it. You need it. Glue won't stop your wounds from getting infected, and you'll heal faster. The nanites will adapt to your physiology and speed up your healing greatly. Look at my leg."
She rolled up the leg of her new pants to show him the gash she had from earlier, her downy feathers parting to show a long white scar. But it looked old and certainly not fresh. Billy Bob sighed. "Do I have to?"
"Yes, drink it,"
she ordered. Billy Bob groaned and picked up the pitcher. Then before Emily or Dr. Goldsmith could stop him to point out the small cup they provided, he began to drink from the pitcher straight. They stared in shock as he gulped and gulped and gulped. He didn't stop until the pitcher was completely empty, and he slammed back onto the table with a loud belch. "Ugh, why does medicine have to taste like space grape? Nothing's different, I swear."
"That was a whole liter. How did you manage to drink all of that?"
"What? I just drank, I don't know. Hey, if I need to get it out of the way, I will. Give me a few more liters and I'll finish them before tonight." The space goblin was dumbfounded.
"How are you so dense?"
"Hey, that's not very nice. I didn't think what I said was stupid."
"No, not dense. Dense."
"I don't... Wait. You mean like thick? I mean, my belly isn't that big." He shook his beer gut, which was a bit smaller with all the activity he'd been doing lately.
"No, your literal density. I need to study you."
Billy Bob had stopped listening, though, as he felt his body start to feel a little warm. Then he began to feel good, not just good, great. "Whoa, the stuff's starting to kick in. Whoa." He began to move around in place and then started to wiggle a little. He felt like he had tons of energy. His body felt better than ever. His wounds began to close up as his incredibly dense body made the work of the nanites much easier. He was full of biological materials they could move around without damaging the rest of him. He started to move a bit more, then it suddenly shouted, "Thriller!" and started to dance. Emily and the doctor backed up, unsure what was going on.
"Is this normal, Doctor?" she asked. I have no idea. Biogel is supposed to adapt to the host. Once they run out of the safe levels of materials they use, they self-terminate harmlessly. He might be so dense they're running in overdrive. I have no idea what they will do."
"Ooh!" Billy Bob stopped dancing and laughed, pushing past them as he ran out into the medical bay on the station.
"We better follow him,"
Emily said as the doctor nodded. and they rushed after the hyped-up space trucker, who was rushing into the black market now that it was once more teeming with life. The other species had to gasp and dash out of his way as he moved, but they recognized him as their savior, and no one seemed to mind. He didn't know what he wanted to do, but he felt so good, and he had so much energy. Then he stopped in front of some sort of market with a cook making something. Then he leaned up against the glass with his eyes widened. That's beef! Inside, the space goblin wearing a headset and appeared to be a cook.
Oh, you're the human, yes. We just recently imported some meat from your planet. Your wonderful omnivores, simply wonderful. I believe this is what you call beef, yes. But you're the one who saved us. Let me get you something special.
The space goblin tapped on the control panel, and Billy Bob watched robotic arms retreat into the ceiling. Then he gasped as they descended once more, but this time carrying something else. That's... No, is it?
It's what your species refer to as Kobe beef.
Billy Bob's eyes went even wider.
First, I'm going to cut it into small steaks, rub a bit of what you call herbs and spices onto it, but nothing with capsaicin, sheer madness amongst your species.
Billy Bob began to drool a little as he watched.
We have some of what you call butter, which we're going to rub on top of it as well.
Billy Bob was firmly pressed against the glass.
And then boil it in this big pot of water until it's nice and well done.
No! Billy Bob screamed out and pulled his head back, slamming it into the glass. The creatures around him and the cook gasped and cried out in fear as Billy Bob smashed the glass with his face. He hopped inside to the now open shop and snatched a Kobe beef from the cook's hand. That's not how you do it! He looked around and grabbed a pan, dumped some butter in it, and quickly cranked the burner up. It seemed like the Xenos were better at making cooktops because their pot was glowing hot as soon as he tossed it on. The butter was sizzling and popping as he seared the steak just 20 seconds aside before turning the burner off and dumping the steak onto a plate. That's how it's done! The cook cowered before him.
But it's still raw in the center.
Billy Bob's eyes gleamed then. Exactly! He felt so good he didn't even mind that his fingers burned a little as he picked up the steak and firmly bit part of it off. The taste. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, the taste. He shivered and twitched a little as he chewed and then swallowed. Turning, he saw the stunned crowd outside. Dr. Goldsmith was gasping, and Emily had her face pressed firmly into her palm. Billy Bob just waved. Emily, they got steak! And so ends another chapter in the adventures of Billy Bob, Space Trucker. I'd quickly like to thank our T5 Patreon and channel members, Casper Arnholtz, Jon Creighton, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.